The microphone slipped from his hand. Not dropped. Not thrown. Just released. Like he'd been holding onto it for decades and suddenly realized he didn't need to anymore. The audience, 200 people packed into a Los Angeles comedy club on a Wednesday night in late 2013, went silent. Not the silence of anticipation. The silence of confusion. Of concern. Robin Williams stood center stage, under a single spotlight, his shoulders rising and falling with each breath. His eyes were closed. And for the first time in 40 years of performing, he looked like he wanted to disappear. But this moment, this fracture in time that would haunt everyone in that room for years to come, actually began 17 months earlier. In a hospital waiting room. With a letter. And a promise no one knew he'd made. What happened that night wasn't just a performance that went off script. It was the moment Robin Williams stopped being a comedian and became completely, devastatingly human. If you want to understand what really happened in those final minutes on stage, subscribe now, because the most powerful moment of Robin's life is still ahead. It was March 2012. Robin sat in the sterile quiet of Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, waiting for test results that would change everything. The fluorescent lights hummed. His hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the early stages of something the doctors hadn't identified yet. Parkinson's, they would say later. But even that diagnosis would turn out to be wrong. A nurse approached with an envelope. "Mr. Williams? This was left for you at reception." Inside was a handwritten letter on notebook paper, the kind a child uses in elementary school. The handwriting was shaky but determined. "Dear Mr. Williams, my name is Sophie. I'm 11. I have leukemia. My mom says I might not make it to my 12th birthday. But I wanted you to know that you made me laugh even when I was throwing up from chemo. You made my dad laugh when he cried in the hospital parking lot. You made my mom laugh when she thought she'd forgotten how. I don't know if heaven is real, but if it is, I hope they have your movies there. Thank you for being the best part of my worst days. Love, Sophie." Robin read it 3 times. Then he folded it carefully and put it in his jacket pocket, right over his heart. He would carry it there for the next 17 months. Every single day. The nurse noticed his hands shaking as he held the letter. "Are you okay, Mr. Williams?" He looked up at her, and for a moment the mask slipped. Not the performing mask. The survival mask. The one he'd been wearing since he was a kid, using humor to deflect his own pain, his own loneliness, his own desperate need to be loved by making others laugh. "I'm fine," he said, forcing a smile. "Just thinking about what really matters." 3 weeks later, doctors would confirm the neurological disorder. 6 months after that, his marriage would begin to crumble under the weight of his declining health. A year later, he'd be taking medication that made him feel like a ghost in his own body. But none of that compared to the weight of Sophie's letter. He tried to find her. Called the hospital. They couldn't release patient information. He asked his assistant to track down every Sophie with leukemia in the Los Angeles area. There were 17. He sent gifts to all of them, just in case. Signed photos. Personal video messages. He recorded himself doing voices from all his characters, hoping one of those Sophies was his Sophie. But he never found her. And that not knowing became the thing that broke him. By November 2013, Robin was struggling. Not just with his health, though the tremors were getting worse and the doctors still couldn't agree on what was really wrong with him. He was struggling with the weight of being Robin Williams, a man who'd spent his entire life making strangers laugh while quietly drowning in his own mind. His agent called with an offer. A small comedy club in LA wanted him for a surprise drop-in set. Intimate. Low pressure. Just him and a microphone, and people who came to laugh. "It might be good for you," his agent said. "Get back to basics. Remember why you started." Robin agreed. Not because he wanted to perform, but because he thought maybe, somehow, Sophie might be there. Or someone who knew her. Or maybe he just needed to feel something again. Anything. The night of the show, he arrived early. sat in the green room, staring at his reflection in the mirror surrounded by those Hollywood vanity lights that make everyone look younger than they are. He pulled Sophie's letter from his jacket pocket. By now it was worn at the creases, the ink slightly smudged from being handled so many times. He read it again. "Thank you for being the best part of my worst days." A knock on the door. "Mr. Williams? You're on in 5. He stood. Put the letter back in his pocket. Looked at himself one more time. And for the first time in his career, he walked toward a stage without knowing what he was going to say. The crowd erupted when he walked out. That roar of recognition, of affection, of anticipation. He waved, smiled his famous smile, grabbed the microphone. Started with his usual rapid-fire impressions. Jack Nicholson. Christopher Walken. A Scottish accent that morphed into Russian that became somehow both at once. The audience laughed. They always laughed. But something was different tonight. Robin could feel it. He was performing the way he always did, his body moving with that manic energy that made him legendary. But his mind was somewhere else. With a little girl he'd never met. With a letter he couldn't answer. With the crushing realization that all the laughter in the world couldn't save anyone from anything that actually mattered. 20 minutes into the set, right in the middle of a bit about politicians, he stopped. Mid-sentence. The audience waited, thinking it was part of the act. He did that sometimes, those dramatic pauses that made the punchline land harder. But this wasn't a pause. This was a collapse. Robin Williams looked out at 200 strangers, and for the first time in his life, he couldn't remember why he was there. He lowered the microphone. Not dramatically. Just down. To his side. The spotlight felt hot. Too hot. He could see faces in the front rows now, their expressions shifting from amusement to confusion to something like concern. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. So quietly the mic barely caught it. I need to tell you something." The room was absolutely silent now. Someone in the back shifted in their seat, and it sounded like thunder. Robin reached into his pocket and pulled out Sophie's letter. He didn't unfold it. Just held it. 17 months ago, a little girl wrote me a letter. Her name was Sophie. She was 11 years old, and she was dying. His voice cracked. He didn't try to hide it. She told me I made her laugh during the worst time of her life. She thanked me for being there when she needed something, anything, to hold on to. He looked down at the letter in his hand. I tried to find her. I wanted to tell her that she gave me more than I ever gave her. That her words meant more to me than 40 years of applause. That she reminded me why any of this matters. He paused, and a single tear ran down his cheek. But I never found her. And I don't know if she's still alive. I don't know if she ever got to be 12. The audience was frozen. This wasn't comedy. This wasn't entertainment. This was a human being breaking open in real time. I've spent my whole life, Robin continued, his voice barely above a whisper, trying to make people laugh. Because I thought if I could make you laugh, maybe I mattered. Maybe I was worth something. Maybe I wouldn't feel so. He trailed off. Looked up at the ceiling. Took a shaking breath. So alone. A woman in the third row had tears streaming down her face. A man near the bar had his hand over his heart. No one moved. No one breathed. Robin looked back out at them. But here's what I learned from Sophie. From her letter. From the fact that a dying child took the time to write to someone she'd never met just to say thank you. He paused. The laughs don't matter. The movies don't matter. The awards, the money, the fame, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is that we see each other. Really see each other. That we take the time to tell each other you matter. Your pain matters. Your joy matters. You are not alone. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Sophie did that for me. She saw me. Not Robin Williams the comedian. Just me. The guy behind all the voices and the jokes and the manic energy. She saw that guy, and she said thank you. And I never got to say thank you back. The silence in the room was profound. Sacred almost. Robin took a deep breath. Then he said the words that would echo in that space forever. So here's what I want to say to all of you. And to Sophie, wherever she is. Whatever time we have, however much pain we're in, however lost we feel. His voice broke completely. This might be my last laugh. It might be yours too. We don't know. So we have to tell each other now. While we can. While we're still here. He looked directly into the audience, tears running freely now. You matter. Every single one of you. You are not alone. And if you're hurting, if you're scared, if you feel like giving up, please hold on. Because someone out there, someone like Sophie, needs you to keep going. Needs your laugh. Your light. Your presence in this world. The microphone slipped from his hand then. And this time, everyone understood. It wasn't a performance. It wasn't a bit. It was surrender. To the truth. To the pain. To the overwhelming weight of being human. For 10 seconds, no one moved. Then someone in the back stood up. Then another person. Then another. Until the entire room was standing, not applauding, just standing. Bearing witness. Honoring the moment. Holding space for a man who'd spent his life holding space for everyone else. Robin looked at them, these strangers who suddenly felt like family, and he nodded. A small nod. An acknowledgement. A thank you? Then he picked up the microphone, put it back on the stand, and walked off stage. He didn't go back to the green room. He walked straight out the back door of the club, into the Los Angeles night, and he cried. Really cried. For the first time in years. For Sophie. For himself. For everyone who'd ever felt alone in a room full of people. His phone buzzed 20 minutes later. A text from his daughter. Dad, someone posted a video. Are you okay? The video had already gone viral. But it wasn't the whole thing. Just the moment he broke. The moment he said, "This might be my last laugh." By morning, it had 15 million views. The comments were unlike anything on the internet. No jokes. No trolls. Just thousands upon thousands of people saying the same thing. Thank you for seeing us. We see you too. 3 days later, Robin received another letter. This one from a woman named Carol. Dear Robin, I'm Sophie's mother. I saw your video. Sophie passed away in June 2012, 2 months after she wrote to you. But she died knowing she made Robin Williams smile. That was the last thing she told me. Mom, do you think he got my letter? Do you think I made him smile? I told her yes. I told her you did. And now, watching you on that stage, crying while talking about my little girl, I know I was right. You saw her, Robin. And she saw you. Thank you for honoring her memory. Thank you for showing the world that it's okay to hurt. That it's okay to break. That it's okay to be human. With love and gratitude, Carol. Robin read that letter in his kitchen at 3 a.m., alone except for his dog. And he cried again. But this time, they were different tears. Not tears of grief, but tears of connection. Of closure. Of knowing that even in the darkest moments, we reach each other. We touch each other. We matter to each other. He never performed stand-up again after that night. Not because he couldn't, but because he'd said everything he needed to say. He'd given his last laugh. And it turned out to be the most important thing he'd ever given. 10 months later, the world would lose Robin Williams. And millions would mourn. But those who were in that club that November night, those who saw him surrender the mask and stand before them as simply, beautifully human, they understood something the rest of the world didn't. Robin Williams didn't die sad and alone. He died knowing he'd been seen. Really seen. By a little girl named Sophie. By 200 strangers in a comedy club. By millions who watched that video and recognized their own pain in his tears. He died knowing that his vulnerability, his honesty, his willingness to break open in public, had given permission to countless others to do the same. His last laugh wasn't a joke. It was a confession. A prayer. A bridge between one aching human heart and millions of others. And it echoed long after the laughter faded, reminding us all that the greatest performance is no performance at all. Just truth. Just presence. Just being brave enough to say, I hurt. I'm scared. I need you. And you are not alone. If this story moved you, share it. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Because Robin's last laugh wasn't meant to end with him. It was meant to begin with you. And somewhere, Sophie is smiling, knowing her words changed the world.